y'all. I'm Arwen of Tarot by Arwen. I'm the professional joy seeker. I read tarot. I do a little bit here and there on YouTube. And I am the editor of The Cartomancer. And you are getting to see the brand new issue. This is the proof. We had to send it back for some extra fixes, and it's way late. But it's going to be here. So I am talking today to Sarah, a.k.a. the Itty Bitty Celtic Witch. Now, she has a whole lot going on. She's got a YouTube. She's got her website. She's got an Etsy store. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself and say hi to the folks.
Well, hi, Arwen, and hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, the Itty Bitty Celtic Witch, as I was so aptly introduced. I am sort of an earthy, sort of witchy sort of person. I don't usually go by like certain labels because I just kind of prefer to be me and practice my craft that way, connect with herbs, crystals, tarot. I love it all. I've been on Etsy for a couple of years now. It's just, I'm really, really passionate about sharing and creating and then sharing what I create. So that's sort of a huge part of my practice in a way, because it's like connecting with others and that connection that you have when you read tarot with other people. It's just fantastic.
Yes, yes, it is. I have to do, folks, to really figure it. It's really cool. Now, Sarah, I have a question for you. I have a whole bunch of questions. I generally joke that this is 13 things I want to know about you, and I've got about 20 questions because I can't count. But the first thing I want to know is, how did you hear about witches, or just the word witch? Was it, a book, a cartoon? Was it the next door neighbor? How did that word come into your vocabulary?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, ironically, so it kind of works out. When I was in grade 1, I remember that there was this little basket of books, right? So you have the books for little students, and I remember there was a tale there about Baba Yaga, and I was obsessed with that book and the little house on the chicken legs. I went for that book every single time. And then when I started choosing my Halloween costumes, I think I was a winter witch for maybe 4 or 5 years. So it was always sort of there, even though I didn't really connect it as a spiritual thing. I sort of had that strong pull towards witchcraft. And then I came to see it more as a spiritual thing, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. My timing might be a little bit off there, but that's when I started looking into it, hey, this is actually a thing. It's not just the little kid's book with Baba Yaga. There's actually something more substantial behind that kid's book.
And it's interesting that you started out with one of the most famous Russian witches, but your name is Celtic Witch. Do you still work with Baba Yaga at all? Do you have any connection with her, or just as a literary character?
I've read her myth, but I don't work with her as much as the Celtic pantheon and the Celtic mythology and all of that. That sort of pulls to me a lot more. But I think that in a lot of ways it's all interconnected. So
yeah, I often talk about one tree, lots of spokes coming in, and we're all on different spokes. It's how we come into it. Now I want to know, what's the next question? Y'all, I've lost my questions. I was joking with Sarah earlier that I'm going to have to wing it because I do not know where they are. I thought I had them right here, but not unless they are an envelope. So, wing it. So, Sarah, when you talk to other people about what it is you do, how do you self-define? You talked a little bit about that, but how do you self-define who you are?
Well, I guess when I'm talking on YouTube and to all of this beautiful online community, it's primarily as sort of a Celtic witch. That's just the sort of general term that best describes what I'm interested in. When I was in my final year of university, we actually got to film a documentary, and I did mine on tarot reading. So when I was presenting that to my professors, which is something I never would have thought I would have done, I describe myself more so as a tarot reader. just because that's sort of how the setting called for with the topic of the documentary and everything. But had they asked, I would have been totally comfortable with Witch. It's all good.
That I actually was part of a documentary film that a film student at University of Texas was doing some years ago, and they came out. I was at a local coffee house, and they came out and chatted with me about what it is I do, and I did a little quick reading and stuff. It was really interesting because it's not hard for me to talk to you like this, right? I'm looking at a camera. You're over here, actually. When you see me looking over here, it's because my screen's over here. But having a camera on me while I'm trying to talk, it's like I did the classic. So I am a tarot reader, and the poor guy kept going like I was a fly. Shoo!
That's wonderful.
Now, how long have you been reading tarot? Have you been doing that longer than you've called yourself a witch?
The Witch definitely came first, and then like I didn't really know tarot beyond like the idea that there was like a Wheel of Fortune card and a death card, and that's like all I knew about tarot. And then I started looking into runes, and then I got my first tarot deck, which was the Mystic Fairy Tarot, and then I got the Druid Craft, which is my true love. And from there, like I love tarot. I love Oracle, and it's just really grown.
Yeah, I have a problem with collecting. You can see in the background, well, you can't see how cluttered it is unless I kind of move out of the way, but there's some boxes up here that white is actually, and they're all full of tarot decks. So I'm doing a sale, and I just went on and like slashed prices because I got to get these things out of here. I want my office back. Now, Sarah, I'm going to ask you to talk about your favorite tarot deck, and I'm actually going to disappear for just a minute because I realize we've got folks in here watching us. I can't monitor the chat because I left my phone in the other room.
Okay,
so
that works.
Everybody, focus on Sarah. But just how about this? Tell me, which I know you said the Druid Craft was the one you go to, but what decks are you looking forward to if you collect? What decks have you seen out there in the atmosphere, stratosphere, whatever that you're thinking about?
Okay, so as I said, my favorite one is the Druid Craft. I definitely I'm more pulled towards sort of Celtic-based decks, but I recently picked up the Zombie Tarot, and I actually have it sitting right beside me, and I am absolutely obsessed with this. At first, I thought like, oh, it's just gonna be like a collectible deck, right? It's not gonna be super deep or whatever. It's just gonna be something fun to maybe pull a bit of insight from. And then I started working with it, and it was like insane. The very first reading was like just getting the nail on the head. So now I'm really interested in looking towards the Housewives Tarot because they're by the same creators, and I've seen snippets of it, and I think it's just hilarious, but also really deep at the same time. So I'm definitely looking forward to sort of collecting that.
I actually have one of those for sale because I have like 4 copies of the Housewives and 2 of the Zombie. So it's like, yeah, and the Housewife, the funny thing about the Housewife Tarot is a dear friend of mine who isn't a tarot person, but he saw the Housewives Tarot and he knew I liked tarot. So he bought it for me. And I was like, oh God, I love this deck. And he's like, you have it already? I said, yeah, this is my 3rd copy. And I thought, that's kind of rude. I didn't mean it to be rude, but
you're just like overexcited about how good it is, right?
Right? I love this deck. It's fun. It's really fun. I thought I had one copy handy, but I can see the copy I keep is up there. So I am trying to get to the chat, y'all. So do you have like cards you have to resonate with in a deck? For me, I have to have, there's 2 cards that they must mean something to me or I cannot read with the whole deck. So I didn't know if you had cards like that for yourself.
Definitely. I am like, I have to have a really strong connection with the Hermit. Like, there's so many different ways to portray it, but I have to have a connection for it. Like, in the Wild Unknown, it's like a turtle with a candle. In the Zombie, it's like somebody like reading on a couch and there's like zombie arms coming in and everything. But I have to really feel that connection to the Hermit to sort of connect with the deck or really pursue it, for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Because for me, it's Death and the Star. So
That's
they
a good
have
card to have that connection for. It's really important.
Yeah, and I don't care if you rename it, the fluffy white lily. But I need to have some connection with it. Guys, I'm not seeing the chat, so if somebody could chat at me so I can make sure that I've got the chat open. Oh, I see why. I'm not actually on YouTube.
That could be
I
the
love
problem.
Facebook. Right? Facebook says we don't really want you to leave Facebook. We love you. Stay. There we are. So I will be looking at the chat and kind of monitoring it, but not a lot. So, like I said, y'all, I forgot. I can't find my questions, so I'm running. Y'all have to post some of your favorite questions in there. I know some of them, but those are the further down. So let's see. How about now? You're in Canada, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is Mexican food a thing for you where you are?
It is. Like, there's a few Mexican restaurants here. I like Mexican food in any case.
Okay, so what I want to ask is red sauce or green sauce. Does that mean something to you? Depending on culture, it doesn't mean something to people.
Well, for me, the green sauce says that it has avocados in it, and I'm allergic to avocados, so it means don't go there. Don't have that one. Go for the red sauce.
That's a good thing. Now, the green sauce down here is tomatillo. It has no avocado in it at all. But I do know what you're talking about. I've got a friend who is super allergic to all things mangoes and bananas.
That's me.
So.
Yeah, I'm allergic to all that stuff. When I got my allergies tested, it was called the birch pollen allergy. And because there's like a certain type of pollen in there, I just don't jive with it, and it doesn't jive with me, so I get an itchy mouth.
Well, I'll have to ask her. I just talked to her husband yesterday, actually, and I'll have to get in touch with her and ask her. Now, let's see. Who's the first YouTuber that you can remember, excuse me again, watching on Facebook? No, Arwen, on YouTube.
Probably Tiptoe Chick, and then Ember Honey Raven. And then I started watching, starting out Solitary. At that point, it was like a collab channel. I believe it's like retired now, but then I joined that. And so then I started connecting with all those lovely people and Katie Flowers, and I love her channel. So it sort of started with Tiptoe Chick, though, and then sort of migrated throughout.
Very cool. Those are cool people. Somebody recommended you, and I want to say they were related to you also. Yeah, a lot of people said your name, but somebody was either like a friend of one of your relatives or something. But is that a true story?
Yeah, it is. She's probably watching right now. Hi, Aunt Terry. She's actually TL on YouTube. She used to be Ginger Fire, but yeah, she's my aunt. So that would be the family connection.
Cool. I just emailed her today. We were just emailing back and forth about something else. So that's really cool. I like her. She's a good person.
I think so too.
Well, that's cool to kind of have her in the family. Now, did you come out to her? Did she come out to you? Did you know that you had a weird aunt? Sorry, Terry.
No, it's okay. We're both kind of crazy. We both discovered it sort of around the same time. Like we had a chat, and I told her about the books that I was reading and looking into witchcraft and everything. And she had sort of the same thing, but hadn't really explored it further. And then we sort of just went on the path together. It just fit for both of us, and it was the right timing. So yeah, on any day you can catch us talking about tarot and crystals and incense. Oh my.
She is actually she's in the chat. We've got Kelly, Susie, TL, Grun, Candace, and Angel Minx is here. Yay! Oh, speaking of Angel Minx, for those of you who have Etsy shops that you can be in, you see these full color, great big ads. Look at that one.
Now I'm leaning into my screen.
Yeah. I know, right? What? Why do I want to see it? We have a marketplace in the Cartomancer, and it's $25 a run if you run 4 times, and you can pay per run. So come to the dark side. Advertise. um, have you ever had, let's see, a spell that just kind of backfired on you? Didn't do what you expected. It was like a whoa, what was that kind of thing?
I don't think so. It's a good question. Now you're making me like rack my brain, like thinking of the spells that I've done. I don't think so. I think so far we've been okay, but like you never know. Like there's plenty of room for that. I remember you saying that you cast an invisibility spell or something, and then you almost got hit 4 times in one of your interviews. So I haven't had anything
True
quite
story.
like that.
I thought I was being smart and hiding myself from the cops as I sped down the highway. Yeah, well, nobody else can see either. Or whatever, spell of obfuscation. If you read certain books, I read Faith Hunter, and she has obfuscation spells in her books a lot. Let's see, who do you like to read? We were talking a little bit about fiction and that. I've got a Baba Yaga hookup for you if you like fiction, but who do you like to read just for fun?
Well, right now, as I was saying before we sort of got on, I was literally reading It. I went to see the remake. I haven't seen the original, and then I was like, well, I have to read this. I just have to, and I've really fallen in love with the book. It's just it's just so good. Just words don't even describe.
And see, I can't read Stephen King. I've read one book by him. It was Bag of Bones, which is he's an excellent writer. My God, the man is brilliant. But
Yeah.
I can't read horror.
Oh.
It becomes too real for me. So
That's fair.
you know that Stephen King in his early career was writing a book, threw it away, and went down to the liquor. This is when he was pretty much an alcoholic. He'll tell you that. In one of his books, he says that. But he went down to the corner liquor store to get another 6-pack and came back. And his wife, whose name is Tabitha, was sitting in the bathroom, and she pulled it out of the. And she looked up at him and said, "This is really good." He said, "No, I can't finish it. I don't know anything about high school girls." Yeah. Any guess what that book was?
I don't know offhand. I don't know my Stephen King very well. I'm just really into It, and I know of like The Mist and a few of the other really popularized ones.
It was Carrie.
Oh, I do know Carrie.
He threw it. He threw it away.
Wow.
So, luckily for the literary world, his wife rescued it. Interesting.
That's awesome.
You know, when you think about how many great authors out there didn't have the self-esteem to follow through. It's hard. You get rejected a lot. So, have you ever been rejected because you're a witch?
Not so much. I get people who I was pausing there to think about it. I'll get people who don't understand it at all. Like even if you try to get sort of beyond the pointed hat description or the like hocus pocus, like you'll get a bit of a wall almost because they just don't get it, and we can still carry on and be friends or whatever, but that's just not part of that friendship and that's okay too because people have their different paths, right? So
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way of looking at it. You know, you don't have to be, you know, melded minds to be friends with somebody. It's kind of fun when you have differences, right? Now, what
yeah,
other
exactly. Then
questions
you get a different perspective.
You craft, you make things. What's your favorite thing to make? Do you have anything on that you make?
Yes. Always. I have a
Yeah,
little
that's
garnet
right.
bracelet right now. Here, I'll see if I can hold it closer to the camera.
Yes.
And then I have a necklace, which if I pull it off, it's gonna like mess up my headphones, and then it's just gonna be terrible. It's gonna get stuck in my hair. But I have a little pentacle necklace that I made with a couple charms. I really like.
Oh, nice. So you took a pendant and added to it. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I really like making bracelets. I like painting. I like just honestly, I'm making spell kits right now, and that's something that I've definitely sort of introduced into my shop this year. And part of the really fun aspect of crafting with that is actually packaging them, because you get to wrap them all up in tissue paper and add all the stuff and do the ribbons. And I just get way too overexcited when I'm wrapping up the spell kits.
Now, do you have a limit on how many you can sell? Because I saw that there was the pre-order, the Yule spell kit was on your site. I didn't have a minute to go look at it, but I mean, if somebody doesn't get it right now, when's your cutoff date?
My cutoff date for the spell kit pre-order is Sunday, November 19th. That way I can make sure I order enough supplies for everybody. So if you do want to pre-order a spell kit, you should definitely get on that, because I'm making my crystal order soon, and I want to make sure you get one if you're interested.
How do you charge your crystals? Do you just cleanse them? How do you do crystals that you put in these kits?
I cleanse them whenever I get my crystals in. It's like crystal bath time. They all get rinsed off, and I don't know, I feel like they're almost like little babies. They have so much happy energy, and the water is splashing about.
No, I totally get that. I just did that for full moon with my full moon bath. I brought in all the crystals I have because I don't want to sell them until I've cleansed them.
Right, yeah.
And so that's what I did. I just kind of cleanse them out and set them in the circle energy. So I get that. Oh, we've got some new folks in there.
Oh,
Danelle
hello.
and Christine and my friend Kate. I'm going to see Kate on Monday. I'm super excited. We haven't seen each other in Kate. I think you came to Denver is what my memory is. So girl, I don't remember the last time we saw each other, but it's been a month or two.
It's been a bit.
1,000 months. Now, Sarah, coming back to you. I know. Do you cook?
I like baking a lot. I do cook. I mean, I do enjoy food, but my real passion in the kitchen and kitchen magic is definitely baking. In August, I started making my own bread, and we haven't bought a loaf of bread since, because I just love baking it so much, and it just tastes so good.
Remind me, and I'll tell you about my freckle bread. I used to bake bread on the side. I called it the Blessed Bee Bakery.
Awesome.
The Blessed Bread. And I sold it when I lived in Ohio. And I have a freckle bread recipe that people loved. And it's super easy, but I'll give you the secret recipe later.
Oh, yes, please.
And it's so, because you can put so much into bread when you're baking it. You know, you put basil in for that little Italian loaf or whatever, and you're focusing on what you're doing. It's really magical.
Yeah,
so
I like putting rosemary in my biscuits to get that lovely little hearth energy, and it just has that beautiful aroma. It's just, I don't know.
Oh, God,
it
yes.
adds a little extra something to the biscuits, for sure.
And rosemary biscuits with a really good cream of tomato soup. I'm there.
Oh, that sounds good.
So let me ask you this. Herbs or spices or seasonings that you can use in your cooking that you also use in your altar. They do double duty.
Rosemary, for one. Sage. I have my little sage plant behind us. Little sage plant saying hello.
Hello, Sage.
He's doing very well right now. He's very happy, which I'm really happy about, because it's darker now, so he doesn't get all the sunshine. And then the other one would probably be basil. Basil, definitely, for that sort of protective energy.
Very cool.
Sage, rosemary, and basil.
Sage, rosemary, and thyme. No. Are you going to Scarborough Fair?
Not today.
So let's talk about this incense. Do you want to make your own powdered, or are you happy enough to get rolled sticks?
I like the sticks. I have a favorite shop on Etsy, Leftover Hippies. If you guys haven't tried her, you should definitely go visit her shop, because she makes the most wonderful smells. And she's in Canada too. And then just incense in general, just sticks. I'm really drawn towards making candles, and I love making my own candles. But incense doesn't call to me as much for crafting it anyways. I love smelling it. I love my cinnamon incense. But yeah. for crafting in that sense, it's definitely the candles. I love adding the scents and the herbs and the sparkles because they all need to have sparkles and colors. It's just a really magical part of my practice.
So Leftover Hippies.
Yes.
And two other places that I love the incense from are Bayou Witch, who's actually in Monroe, my hometown, and Nadia, Lady Jane's Bewitchery. So those are three, and those two are in America. And that's a problem, y'all, because I would love to get from everybody, but the stinking shipping charges just from Canada to America. It's not like they have to get on a frickin' plane.
Tell me about it. Oh my goodness. I once shipped something to Japan. It is literally cheaper to ship to Japan than within Canada in some places.
Yeah, and in Canada, they make you, I mean, in fact, that's what I was talking to you, Ann, about, was a deck she was interested in. And, it ended up, we were like, crap, it's more expensive to get the deck there than it is to get the deck. So I actually found one on Amazon, on the Canadian Amazon. And so I emailed her after we talked about it. I said, look, I just saw this here, go get it. So, see what are some other questions. Oh, I know. This is the one I've asked other people. What are the 3 stones that you must have?
Hematite.
Crystals, gems.
I'm already answering. I'm already in there. I'm in the crystal world. Definitely hematite. It's really grounding, but it's not overpowering. And then black tourmaline, when I want that sort of, in my head, it's like comparing the two, is like comparing one being in a bubble and one not. And the black tourmaline's like, it creates like a shield around you almost. So that's really good when I need a shield. And then when I need a bit of energy flowing around, then it'd be hematite. And then my third would probably be garnet or red jasper. I know that's 2, but something really fiery.
And I actually really like green garnet. I don't know if you've had a chance to work with that or not, but I love the green garnet. It's got the same kind of fire, but it's more heart-centered for me. So,
oh, I see. Yeah, I hear that. I like my red garnet, though. I like those red fiery colors.
One of the people I dated came from a place in New York State where it's either called Garnet Mountain or something, but it's a mountain where they mine garnet. And he could get garnets really easily. And just going out and getting like a handful of the dust, you could go through it and find like little tiny ones. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I really wish that there was like a crystal mine closer to where I live, but there, alas, is not. Maybe one day, though. Maybe one day. I'd like to get there. I know that I will go a little bit overboard, but it would be a good time.
Yeah, overboard and me, no. I never go overboard with crystals. I can't just reach right here and get a big old handful of crystal spheres that I've got, right? I've got lapis, red, and brown tiger's eye. That's part of the stuff that got cleansed. So
we've got crystal friends with us. What could be better?
Always. Well, my friend Kate, who's in the 12 years, she says it's been 12 years since we talked to each other. Of course you weren't buying a deck. You were investigating for a friend. What are you talking about? Apparently, Mr. Terry is watching. Mr. Terry, I would never lead her astray.
I think he knows that she has a bit of an addiction to crystals and tarot, as we all do.
My friend Kate, when I met her, she's the one that introduced me to tarot. She also introduced me to crystals. Now, this is not a good representation. She had a crystal called Mama Bear, if I remember, and it was probably like that big. Clear quartz, gorgeous. And she told me that she liked to go up to Arkansas near Hot Springs where the crystal mines are, and she would sing to the crystals to find them. She's a really spiritual individual, and she's been hibernating a little bit, but I think she's drinking the water again. So I'm really excited to go see her because she's the one that kind of got me on this path. She'll deny it, but we blame Kate.
It's all Kate's fault. Love you, Kate, even though we've never met. Sending some Canadian witchy love here.
Simmer mine and beat up rocks for crystals. That's cool.
Yeah.
And Herkimer diamonds are they're really cool looking things. Now, do you have a patron god or goddess? Let me finish the whole thing before you don't have to name them if you don't want to. I'm actually one of the people, I don't really name my patrons very often. But do you have one? And if you do, how do you serve them, like on a daily basis? Is there anything you do every day, or how does that work in your path?
Well, I have sort of two patrons, and then I guess the other deities, they come and go as sort of the time is right and their energy is sort of connecting with mine at that time. On a daily basis, for me, it's more so about connecting with them outdoors, like going for a walk. Crows follow me, ravens follow me everywhere. So there's a good guess at what my patron is. I work with the Morrigan and Cernunos. So we've got a lot of foresty energy in there too. But and then I guess lighting the candles on my altar, because I'll make candles that are specific to my patron deities, putting them on my altar and lighting them. Spending just some time just even reflecting about it if like my brain was in too much of a circus to like calm down. Just sitting there and being and soaking it up.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's super important to think about, is the idea that we sometimes, and I talk about this a lot, we talk more than we listen to them.
So
And
true.
when our brains are going bonkers, you know, our patron deity could be going, damn it.
Just a minute here, just a minute.
Right? You feel like they're leaning in and going, time out. I need to talk to you. And so I wanted to share with y'all real quick, one of the things in Bennabelle's daily planner, her metaphysician's planner, and this is my cover. I when she gave us to choose from. To harness the energy of the universe, and this is from the 3 Principles of Craft. It's a Chinese text. To harness the energy of the universe, your mind must be awakened. For your mind to be awakened, you must be spiritual. Those who are not spiritual are not awakened, and therefore cannot harness the energy of the universe. And that really, I just read that last night again, and it really hit me. You know, if you say you're spiritual, but you don't do anything to honor that part of yourself, are you actually waking up? What do you think about that?
To me, like, it reminds me, like, I grew up very, very much a Christian, and it reminds me of the people that you would meet who would go to church every Sunday. But once they were out of church, they were totally different people. It was just for that hour once a week. And there's people like that in every path, for sure. People who say they're spiritual and then they don't take that moment. But you don't necessarily need to be engaging in super deep rituals like every single day to be a spiritual person. Like some days, like going for a walk or just noticing the crows that are like, hey, look at me, I have a message for you. Like just noticing that and taking it in and being like, okay, there's a connection here, I need to be aware. That can definitely be part of being spiritual too. It doesn't have to be this overt, really elaborate thing, because that can be really stressful if you're trying to plan like an elaborate ritual every single day. Like it's probably not going to happen.
Right? A dear friend of mine, and honestly, I do not remember who it is. I know it was female, but she taught her children that in the morning they would get like a cup of water, drink half of it, and then toss the other half out and say thank you for the day.
That's beautiful.
And it's super simple, right? It's no, like you say, it's no elaborate, you know, I need 13 hours to get prepared and then 1 hour to do the ritual. It's just thank you for the day.
I really like that.
So
That makes me like really happy. I really like that idea.
well, and if you think about it, Catholics have it going on, man. They go into church, dip the holy water, boop, boop, boop. You know, and even if you're not going, if you just go in for the morning and say a prayer and go back out, you've connected yourself. And I think what you just said about it, it doesn't have to be crazy. If you have a goddess statue or a god statue, good morning, Ganesh. Thank you. You know,
Yeah.
just acknowledge that
It's
path.
the little things. The little things all count.
I think that's really important. The little things all count. So thank you. Let's see. Oh, deserted island time. Ha ha ha.
Oh.
You are getting dumped on a deserted island. You can take 5 things with you, 5 magical things. They don't have to be survival things. What are the 5 magical things you couldn't be without on that island?
Oh man, this is hard. Okay, so 5 magical things I couldn't be without. Well, I'm on an island, so I don't think I need to bring crystals because I know there's going to be a lot of rocks there. And those rocks are going to have a lot of ocean energy and a lot of grounding energy. So I think I'm set for crystals and rocks. So we can cross that one off the list. Some incense would probably be nice. You can have a nice beach meditation. Some candles to create the scene in a nice circle, I think would be good. Tarot. It's just got to be there. Like a tarot or oracle deck, it just has to be there. I think a book too, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be like a spiritual book. It could be like history or fiction or whatever, because there's magic in writing and in words and in transporting yourself to another universe. So I think, and that'd be pretty handy on a desert island if you're stuck there all by yourself. It'd be nice to have some words. It really would be. And maybe a bit of music so you could hear some voices too and not go completely insane in isolation.
I like it. I like it. Now let's see what else. I'm watching the time because I'm going to keep this around 45 minutes or so. So let me ask you this. What do you do for self-care? What is, caring for Sarah look like in your world?
Right now, I'm aiming for like 1 or 2 meditations a week just to be there and connect with my altar on a daily basis. Tea is probably a pretty huge part of it because when I have a tea, it just allows me to take a moment and settle in. And then especially if you get it working with the herbs, like right now I have my cup of peppermint, which is really calming and great for interviews that are live. And then going outside is really important. Feeling the air, whether it's freezing cold or a bit of rain, whatever the weather may be, feeling that is just really important for me, and connecting and grounding and getting outside of myself and back into the universe, really. Even though you never really leave it, you need to step out of yourself sometimes to absorb it.
I like that. And I never thought about that with tea because, I love Dragon's Eye Oolong. They serve it at PF Chang's and I've gotten attached to it. But I like the smell of it. I love to smell it as it's brewing.
I love tea. I'm such a tea addict. I have so much loose leaf tea. Oh my goodness. I love it all. I've got black tea, I had red tea, I have green tea and peppermint tea. You name it, and it's in my cupboard.
Do your own? Do you ever make blends of tea that you would sell?
No, not right now anyways. Right now my go-to for tea is David's Tea, which is, I think there's some locations in the US now too, but it started in Canada, and they have so much tea, and I just love it all.
Yeah, my husband has forbidden me to go buy any more tea until I actually start drinking more of the tea that we've got. Oh, and one of the 5 things, your aunt has just called herself a thing. She said, hello. The answer is Aunt T.
Hi, Aunt T.
And no, she couldn't take you. You're not a thing, sweetheart. So when you cook, what's your favorite meal? And this isn't about cooking. What's your favorite meal, like to go out and eat, to have at the house, anywhere? You can have tonight, you can go out and have your favorite thing. What would that be?
I really like pizza. I really, really, really like pizza. Like
Well, now let's
whether
talk toppings.
okay. I like pepperoni and cheese. I'm good with the classic. If we want to add some stuff, maybe some spinach would be nice. A little bit of like maybe chili flakes in there for a bit of a kick. Yeah, I think that'd be good. I don't like overloading my pizza with too much because then you like lose the actual dough and it's just like a pile of toppings. So not getting too overzealous with that.
My husband is a pepperoni and black olive guy. So,
Black olives
and
are
I
good.
am I'm the one that I like the pizza that everybody loves to hate, Hawaiian. So,
There's nothing wrong with Hawaiian pizza. That's good too.
well, my actual favorite pizza when I'm been had a cold or if I'm getting over sickness, my comfort pizza is tomatoes, onions, and jalapenos.
Well, that would open up your sinuses if you've got jalapenos there.
Yes, yes, it does. And we're a two crust family. He's a thin crust, and I'm a hand tossed crust. So we rarely can share a pizza because of that,
That's okay too, keeping everybody happy.
right? Well, now look, we're getting down to some of the last questions. So, you got a ghost story to tell us?
Well, there's a few. There's a few in my family. The one that comes to mind right now is not something that I experienced, but my grandfather, he worked with, I believe he was a black great grandfather, so we're going back a little bit here. He built coffins, and it's like a common thing, common story told in my family. But before somebody passed on, and he would need to make a coffin, the boards would actually start moving around to let him know that he would need to make a coffin soon.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Terry,
I
why
kind of
haven't you ever
thought
told me that story?
so. That's from the other side of my family, but there's plenty of ghost stories on both sides.
Oh, well, that's why. Okay, we'll forgive her for that one. Um, let's see. I have the last question, but I want to ask one more question before I get to the last one. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you when you were doing tarot readings, whether for yourself or somebody else?
Well, the cards have never jumped off the table, so that's a good thing. At least I think so. I mean, they give me enough of a in your face, listen to me as it is when they're lying down flat. Honestly, the craziest thing I would say is almost how honest they are every single time. Like, it's not a big bam moment or flashbang, they're like haunted, but like the message when you read it and it's like, listen to me. Like, this is what's happening. You're like, damn, really? You had to tell me what I already knew and didn't want to deal with? Like, gee whiz, thanks.
Isn't that the truth? Like, shut up, tarot. Answer the question I want to ask. Don't unsolicited advice. So, the very last question I ask, and thank you so very much for your time. And you've been a joy to chat with. It doesn't even feel like this time's gone by. So, it's like, I look down, I'm like, oh, shit. Is the one piece of advice you would give people just starting out that maybe you wished you'd gotten when you first started out?
I would say you don't have to jump right into a label. Like, I remember all of the books, there's so many different paths, right? There's witchcraft, which I didn't really even get to until I had read through all the Wicca books. And then there's druidry, which I sort of unraveled later on. I think that it's best not to, unless you like really feel called to settle into something right away, just give yourself that time to read and watch and connect with people to find out what is speaking to your spirit. And then if it's bits and pieces of everything, it's bits and pieces of everything. If it's one path, it's one path. Just don't like box yourself in and feel like really stressed and anxiety, like I have to do things this way, because there's room for growth and exploration. It's always a learning journey.
I have to tell y'all, you've heard me talk about cafeteria spiritualists, and it's the idea that you can pick and choose what works for you and make that part of your path. The person that taught me that phrase is, in fact, and I'm talking about you again, But she told me this years and years ago. She may not even remember it, but it just really stuck with me. What a smart thing to do. So, and it sounds like you were very smart about, and I love that. Don't label yourself.
Just be,
you know,
just be who you are. You're magical just as you are right now in this moment.
yeah. As Ember would say, just do you, baby.
Exactly.
Now, when I say goodbye on a video, I always say seek joy, y'all. Do you have a particular way you sign off on your videos?
Many blessings every time.
Y'all, this has been the Itty Bitty Celtic Witch, who has a really big energy about her, so I'm not sure about that itty bitty part. But check out her links below. She does do readings. Go get a reading from her. Go shop her Etsy shop and tell people about her. That's the biggest gift you can give. Sometimes we think, oh, I can't afford to spend any money. Word of mouth, baby. Word of mouth. Just go tell somebody about her and spread the word, and that's a joy. So thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate y'all coming through. Always seek joy, y'all. I'm trying to find the red button.